You've been taught that being nice is a virtue, that being responsive is the right thing to do. Let me tell you something. In the real world, in the cold, quiet reality of power dynamics, that's not a virtue. That's a signal. It's a signal that you are afraid of conflict. You've been conditioned to smile while you're bleeding, and in doing so, you've become an unpaid laborer in someone else's emotional factory. When you prioritize being liked, you hand people the handles they need to move you around like a piece on a chessboard. Right now, if we're being honest, you are a reactive machine. Someone pulls a lever, you produce the expected output. Someone pushes a button, you react. But we're not here to manage the flinch. We're here to redesign the machine entirely. True sovereignty, real, untouchable power, exists in what I call the dead zone. That tiny, microscopic space between a stimulus and your response. Most people live their whole lives without ever finding it. They react on reflex, and they confirm to everyone around them that their core is penetrable. If we're going to rebuild you, we're going to start there. You're not going to be a participant in other people's games anymore. You're going to become the architect of a system that nobody can move without your explicit, calculated permission. Let's talk about the tools people use to control you, because most of them come disguised as simple questions. Most social interactions are experiments, but usually you're the one in the lab coat, right? No, usually you're the specimen. People use questions not to get to know you, but to extract something from you. They're trying to bypass your boundaries and secure retroactive permission for something they already did. Let's look at 5 lethal questions. First, you don't mind, right? This isn't a question. It's a notification dressed up as a request. They've already done the thing. They've already taken the action. Now they're asking you to agree so that if you get upset later, you look like the petty one. The sovereign pivot here isn't to say no, it's to correct the timeline. Try this instead. Actually, I would have preferred if you consulted me first. Second, can I be honest with you? This is the honesty disguise. They're about to say something critical or cruel or manipulative, but by asking permission first, they're putting a shield up. If you get upset, they say, "Hey, you said I could be honest." Next time, don't give them the shield. Just say, "Depends on what it's about. You can say what you want. I'll decide what I do with it." Third, what would you do if you were me? This is the decision transfer. They don't want advice. They want to move the weight of a decision and the weight of the potential failure onto your shoulders. They want you to be the fall guy. Deflect it. What are you leaning towards? It sounds like you already know your path. Fourth, who told you that? This is the source hunt. Someone is trying to discredit the message by hunting down the messenger. They don't care if what you heard is true. They just want to eliminate whoever told you. Shut it down. The source is irrelevant. The substance of the truth is what we're discussing. And then there's the master trap, the big one. You trust me, right? This is a request for a blank check of immunity, because if you say yes, the moment you set a boundary later, you're the hypocrite. "I thought you trusted me," they'll say. In the hierarchy of manipulation, the first 4 questions are just the arms. If you kill the trust trap, the arms go limp. So don't declare trust on demand. Say this: I pay attention to what people do, not what they say. Actions build trust. That pause you just took by not answering immediately, that's the dead zone. That's self-defense. But internalizing this requires an upgrade. A predictable person is a manageable person. If someone can guess how you'll react, they can control the situation. So we have to sever the automatic link between what happens to you and how you feel inside. I call this emotional trigger decoupling. First, shift your psychological ownership. Stop believing things are happening to you. Start watching them happen around you. Be a clinical observer. When someone insults you, don't feel attacked. Watch it like a scientist. Observe the micro-expressions, the desperation, the attempt at positioning. You realize quickly that an insult isn't an attack, it's just elevated emotional energy coming from a destabilized party. Next, you need to become unmappable. Machiavelli said the lion cannot protect himself from traps and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves. You have to be both. Hold conflicting states simultaneously. Be calm but alert. Be detached but fully aware. If you are a singular emotional state, always angry or always nice, you are a blueprint for your defeat. Be a contradiction. And third, start practicing the emotional memory eraser. There's a difference between clean data and emotional residue. You need to retain the data. This person has lied to me before. That's intelligence. That's useful. But you have to ruthlessly erase the residue, the anger, the hurt, the narrative of betrayal. You don't need the heat of anger to remember the coldness of the lesson. If you can do this, you become the eye of the storm. You're present, but you're never accessible. Now let's talk about your most valuable currency. It's not your time, it's your attention. Attention is finite. It loses value the moment you distribute it without standards. Think about economics. Anything distributed like water is perceived as worthless. Anything guarded like gold commands respect. Your reactions are gold. When you learn to withhold the expected feedback loop, you create psychological vertigo in the other person. It's the scarcity principle. When your presence is no longer guaranteed, its value skyrockets. The smartest person in the room is the one who says the least and takes the most. Winning often requires no movement at all. It requires the discipline to refuse to burn your resources on petty battles. And here's the secret weapon, the open loop. Human psychology is wired for closure. We need to finish things. When someone provokes you and you don't react, you leave a loop open in their mind. They will burn immense mental energy replaying the event, wondering why it didn't work, questioning their own efficacy. They are torturing themselves while you spend zero energy. That is the ultimate byproduct of structural unreachability. So, what's the final synthesis? It's emotional sovereignty. The absolute refusal to let external inputs set your internal thermostat. Live by these 7 laws. Guard your attention. Wherever it goes, power flows. Master silence. It is the ultimate tool of domination. Maintain scarcity. Abundance is disposability. Weaponize non-reaction. Open loops consume your enemies. Cut cleanly. Remove energy drains without explanation. Build an impenetrable mind. Own the space between stimulus and response. Win without moving. Strategic inaction preserves your capital. Here's the cold truth. Loyalty is circumstantial. Human beings are rarely loyal to people. They are loyal to their own interests. So do not build your house on the assumed loyalty of others. Build it on the stone of self-sufficiency. You have a binary choice right now. You can continue to be a reactive machine, a nice person managed by the pulls and pushes of the world. Or you can become the structurally untouchable architect, one who observes without attachment, one who operates without influence, one who is never, ever owned. The choice is yours.